Welcome to the news on Zodiac. I'm Tiamige Piri. Our top stories in this bulletin. Malawian authorities to meet South African officials over compensation for victims of xenophobic attacks. EU concerned with continued gender inequality in Malawi. Malawi and Zambia to construct multi-million one-stop facilities at Jinji-Mwami border. And in sports, a promoter bemoans lack of interest by the corporate world in sponsoring boxing in Malawi. Malawian officials are expected to seek compensation for Malawian victims of the xenophobic attacks in South Africa when they travel to the Rainbow Nation this weekend. Information Minister Kondwani Nkrumah confirmed with Zodiac that Malawi's Foreign Affairs Minister George Chabonda will travel to South Africa to meet his counterpart there. Mr. Nkrumah, however, hinted that the agenda of the meeting ahead of another between presidents of the two countries is yet to be agreed upon by officials of the two governments. Tadala Kalidzela caught up with the minister.
The reports we have been feeding the nation are coming from our High Commission in South Africa. So far, our commission in South Africa says 2 Malawians have died. They have heard, of course, of maybe some other cases, but they are yet to confirm. So officially, the figure that has been confirmed as of now is true.
Are there any arrangements for the dead for them to come back to Malawi?
Well, one of the two was already buried in South Africa, considering the condition of his body and looking at the brutal way in which he was murdered. But the other body is still in the mortuary. We have been waiting to see that there is a bit calm in the cities so that we'll be able to make a decision as government on the body that is currently at the mortuary.
Mr. Nkrumah, are there any discussions to compensate these victims of xenophobia?
Well, our main preoccupation this time around is to make sure that Malawians come back home safely, because we are in the first place concerned with their lives and safety. The issues of compensation will be considered as we progress, because issues of compensation normally take a lot of time. One cannot be compensated right today, but it's something that would go along with a lot of calculations and, of course, physical checking on what is on the ground. So we believe that as meetings and counter meetings continue to take place between the Malawi government and the South African government, these issues will be on the agenda so that they be discussed on the possible way to deal with them. We have people on the ground, the immigration people, the protocol, political officers who are there running around each and every day. So the confirmation as to how many Malawians have been killed will not actually be coming from the South African government, but it will be coming from our office in South Africa, who will again feed that information to us.
So the Foreign Affairs Minister, when is he going to South Africa, and what will be the nature of discussions?
Well, we expect the Foreign Minister to be in South Africa this weekend to hold a meeting with his South African counterpart. Then at this meeting, they will be looking at the agenda that the two governments will be preparing. So these two, when they meet, they are going to agree on the agenda.
The European Union has expressed dissatisfaction at continued gender inequality in the country, saying it is of great concern for national development. 5 non-residential European ambassadors to Malawi raised this concern during a press briefing in the capital Lilongwe on Wednesday. The UN recently also said sustainable development goals in the country cannot be achieved fully if this is not addressed. This report for details.
Since they arrived in the country on Sunday, 5 non-resident ambassadors to Malawi toured some of the projects funded by the European Union to assess whether or not Malawians are benefiting from the projects. Among other things, they toured rehabilitated roads funded by the EU and also held meetings with civil society organizations, Speaker of the National Assembly and the Vice President. Addressing members of the press at the end of their 4-day visit, the ambassador said among some challenges spotted in Malawi was gender inequality. Finland ambassador to Malawi, Timo Okonen, says gender equality is still a challenge, as evidenced during his visit, saying few women participated in the crucial meetings the EU organized.
Well, I think in principle, you know, the gender equality is in a good shape in Malawi, but in practice you can see so many issues for example, there's so many negative issues, such as gender-based violence. I learned from UN Women recently about the statistics of how many women are suffering from domestic violence and gender-based violence, and that's really worrisome.
Recently, United Nations Country Representative Mia Sepo also emphasized the need to promote gender equality.
If you look at the reports on MDG achievement in Malawi, you will see that the MDGs that are lagging behind all have gender connotations. They're linked to maternal or child mortality, they're linked to women's position in terms of economic power, in terms of political decision making. So, you know, if you want a society to develop, you can't leave half of your population behind.
The 5 non-resident EU ambassadors to Malawi were from Spain, Italy, Belgium, Finland and Holland.
The 2015 tobacco market in Mzuzu started on a low note Wednesday following farmers' concerns over low prices. Our reporter in Mzuzu says business came to a halt at some point as farmers protested low prices. The highest barley leaf fetched $1.75, with lowest going at $1.15 per kilogram. Angela Mkandawire reports.
About 10 minutes after kicking off sales at Mzuzu auction floors, tobacco growers that came to witness the first sale protested, disrupting the market as they said they were not satisfied with prices that buyers were offering for their green gold. The highest price that was offered was $1.75 per kilogram, with the lowest leaf attracting $1.15 per kilogram. Farmers expressed concern that prices that buyers were offering during the first day of the sale are far much lower than was the case during the opening of the rest of the other markets, including Kanengo and Limbe. However, after engaging into talks between growers, representatives and officials from the Tobacco Control Commission and Tobacco Association of Malawi, the market resumed almost an hour later, although there wasn't any remarkable change in the pricing. The growers' concern is that buyers are sticking to the set minimum prices. Like, for example, the non-grade tobacco, whose minimum price is 85 cents, was being bought at about $1.20 per kilogram. The Tobacco Association of Malawi President, Mr. Ruben Maigwa, who also witnessed the first sale, also expressed disappointment that farmers are spending a lot in producing best tobacco, but the prices that buyers are offering are rather disappointing. He's saying the cost of production, especially the farm inputs, are increasing every time, and that what farmers are getting at the end is on the lower side. The call was also reiterated by the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Alan Chembegeza, who said he was also disappointed with what he had seen at the Mzuzu market, which he said is well known for producing best tobacco. However, the minister was acknowledging that some of the tobacco contained moisture which might have attracted the price. He also pleaded with buyers to follow what was agreed between them and government when they had an audience with State President Professor Alpha Peter Mutharika, who urged them to offer prices that are slightly or higher than the set minimum price. The minister, however, also took a hint at growers themselves, saying that they should avoid mixing tobacco, which he said also affects the price and also it tarnishes the image of the tobacco market, which he said that buyers, after seeing that the tobacco is mixed, it's when they come up with very, very discouraging prices. Reporting for ZBS from Zuzu Auction Floors, this is Angela Mkandawire.
Staying with agriculture, official estimates for maize production for the 2014-2015 season in Malawi show a 27.7% decline compared with the 2013-2014 agriculture season. This contradicts a private estimation conducted by a civil society agriculture organization, which put the decline at 40% sometime earlier this year. Civil Society Agriculture Network National Director Tamani Nkonomvula, however, says the difference in the figures must not be the center of focus, but ensuring that no Malawian dies of hunger. You are watching the news on Zodiac live from our studios at Adbridge Center in Lilongwe. I'm Tiamige Piri. We have more news after the break. Welcome back. As we proceed, another look at the headlines. Malawian authorities to meet South African officials over compensation for victims of xenophobic attacks. European Union concerned with continued gender inequality in Malawi. Still ahead, Malawi and Zambia to construct multi-million one-stop facilities at Mchinji-Mwami border. And in sports, promoter bemoans lack of interest by the corporate world in sponsoring boxing in Malawi. The U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, says it hopes to see full implementation of the Malawi-Mozambique Power Interconnector in a year's time. MCC Chief Executive Officer Dana Haid said this in Washington when she met President Peter Mutharika. The U.S. bankrolled $350 million compact in Malawi in its second year of implementation. Malawi and Zambia have launched a multi-million-dollar project for the construction of the first ever one-stop facilities for the two countries at Mchinji-Mwami border. The project is part of the Nakala Development Corridor linking Malawi with neighbors Zambia and Mozambique and all members of the Southern Africa Development Community. Daniel Mawawa witnessed the launch of one-stop border post in Chipata, Zambia, and now reports.
The African Development Fund has set aside over $70 million in financial pledges to finance the fourth phase of the Nakala Development Corridor, which is an estimated 30 billion Malawi kwacha. $10 million will be a grant. Phase 4 will involve rehabilitation of a 75-kilometer road between Liwonde and Mangochi and establishment of one-stop border posts at Chiponde on the Malawi-Mozambique border and Mchinji on the Malawi-Zambia border. The overriding development project aims at enhancing efficiency and reducing the cost of doing business along the corridor and generally this part of the SADC region. Currently, traders and travelers have to be cleared by 2 immigration officers of the country they are coming from and another of the country they are going into. At the moment, the existing bureaucracy can consume up to 2 hours of business time, according to Malawi's National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises President William Mwale.
It was taking too long to get cleared on the border, maybe 2 hours in some certain cases if you're traveling by bus, but if you're traveling your own private car, it will take you maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, so it's even too long. Maybe you're rushing to do business there, you want to come back, and then because of these delays at the main border post, and then on the roadblocks on the way, you had to stop again, get checked. That facility wasn't there, but this time I think it's going to improve trade between the two countries.
Malawi Trade Minister Joseph Mwanamveka says establishment of the one-stop border post at Mchinji-Mwami border will be followed by similar projects in all Malawi-Mozambique borders along their frontiers.
Shortly, we'll also be doing the same for all the borders with Mozambique. You are talking of Mwanza, you are talking of Chiponde, you are talking of Mloza. All those we want to have to implement the one border post.
On his part, Zambia's Minister of Transport, Yamfua Mukanga, said during a site visit on Tuesday that the two governments expect high-tech facilities at the border.
This can be done and can be achieved. All I can say is that whatever designs that are going to be put in place, I want ICTs to be embraced to ensure that we use the latest technology to ensure that these things are done. Electronic clearing is one thing that should be considered, and that's what we need to do. That's the way to go.
Yet another milestone in the history of relations between Malawi and Zambia. The financier African Development Fund has told us here that is ready to finance this massive project to construct a one-stop border post here at Mwami border, in the other side Mchinji border. As I speak, the structures you see behind me, the other one houses the Zambian Immigration Department, and on the other side is the Mchinji border post in Malawi. But come 2017, this whole place here will be transformed as it will have one-stop border post, including the Malawi and the Zambian immigration offices. All this to improve cross-border trading between Malawi and Zambia. From Mwami border, Chipata, Zambia, this is Daniel Mawawa.
Time now for sports. A boxing promoter has bemoaned lack of interest among the corporate world in sponsoring fights in the country. Mike Chimaliza of New Dawn Boxing Promotions wonders why some companies that support boxing in other countries shun Malawi. According to Chimaliza, countries like Zambia, Zimbabwe and South Africa are ahead of Malawi in boxing because companies in those countries join hands with promoters in organizing bouts.
Currently, we can say that there isn't much that the corporate world is doing in terms of boxing. It's pretty much, individual level, and maybe people would wonder that maybe recently I think there was kind of like, a slump in terms of, the quality of promoting and even the quality of boxing. But the reason is basically it's only individuals that are coming to boxing. We use our own money, but yet we expect the corporate world to be coming in, and there isn't much that is happening, even though we have approached a number of companies to try to help us. I don't really understand the reason why. Of course, some of them that we've talked to, maybe I don't know why, they go to golf, because they say, understand, maybe they try to prefer, maybe because they are played by, golf, attended by maybe managers, top people, for companies. Maybe these are the people who can make decisions in terms of maybe consumption of their products, and maybe they can prefer to consume their products. But I think we'd also try to put it clear here that in terms of any products, there are so many consumers or people who are coming from, the community that even come to box, even though they are not top people. But currently also seeing them top, middle average, people that are coming to, to come to boxing. So maybe this is what we think, but we don't really know the reason why they're not really coming to try to coming out clear on that. If you compare different countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe and Zambia, we see so many companies that are supporting boxing, and some of the companies that are supporting boxing in those countries, they are also available here, and we tend to wonder why. You see, like South Africa, there's Chisanyama, in Zimbabwe, even in America, you've seen like even companies that promote different drinking products, and they also promote boxing. But I think what I can say is that, if you come to boxing, a lot of people now, they are coming to boxing. And most of the people, they are also consumers of different products from these companies. And I can assure them, one time we partnered with one company that produces, Active Pro, out of Medvet. We promote them, we help them. Because what we do is, when we are talking about before the bout, we talk about their products, and even during the boxing, we do put their banners, we talk about their products, and even encourage people to consume their products. So to me, I think boxing, contest, boxing arena is a very good, area that these guys can promote their products. Because what we do is basically partner. We don't want you to come to support us, but we should do a partnership. During the bouts, before the bouts, during the posters, we can help promote their products. And we have done that, and one of the companies that we partnered with was very happy with that.
Let's now cross the borders. EU leaders are due to hold an emergency summit on ways to stem the number of people crossing the Mediterranean. Draft proposals for the meeting include offering 5,000 places for resettlement for migrants qualifying for protection under a pilot project. More than 800 people drowned off Libya's coast on Sunday, bringing the number of deaths this year to 1,750. More than 21,000 people are estimated to have reached Italy this year. That's how we end this edition of news. As we go, the headlines again. Malawian authorities to meet South African officials over compensation for victims of xenophobic attacks. EU concerned with continued gender inequality in Malawi. Malawi and Zambia to construct multi-million one-stop facility at Mchinji-Mwame border. And in sports, promoter bemoans lack of interest by the corporate world in sponsoring boxing in Malawi. That's all we had time for. My name is Janike P. Goodbye.